The first Best Picture winner of the 80s is also one of the most overlooked Best Picture winners of all time, Ordinary People. And honestly, I can see why this one isn't talked about a lot. It's one of the most dialogue-heavy, character-driven films the Oscars have ever seen, and the plot is very small scale. Honestly, I didn't know anything about the film walking in. I didn't even know that Robert Redford, yes, that Robert Redford, was the director of the film. Since when did Robert Redford direct films? He even won Best Director. Why? Martin Scorsese was nominated the same year for Raging Bull. Why didn't he get the win? Raging Bull should have won Best Picture as well, to be honest. It's incredible how a film that won the biggest award in the film industry disappeared into relative obscurity, whilst the film it beat became one of the most critically acclaimed films ever made. Just goes to show that the Best Picture award isn't the be-all end-all some people might think it is. But regardless, the award is important to a degree. After all, we're talking about Ordinary People right now, 42 years after its release. Maybe it's a good thing it won. It needed it more than Raging Bull did. And Ordinary People, at the end of the day, is a pretty good film in its own right, even if it is really depressing. It tells the story of the Jarretts, Calvin, Beth, and their son Conrad, as they're torn apart by the death of the eldest son, Bucky. Conrad suffers from depression because he thinks that Bucky's death was his fault, so he tries to commit suicide. The film follows the aftermath of that attempt, as we see how it affects him and his parents, the tensions and distance between Conrad and his mother, the marital turmoil between Calvin and Beth, and we see how they all try to heal and maintain the family structure with varying degrees of success. As you can probably tell just by looking at the synopsis, this film isn't an easy watch at all. It deals with very difficult subject matters and tackles heavy themes with maturity and restraint. Timothy Hutton does an excellent job as Conrad. His performance feels raw and authentic, and he kills it in the emotional scene. He rightfully won an Oscar for his performance, though I really don't understand why he won the Supporting Actor award. I mean, let's face it people, Conrad is the main character. He has way more screen time than his parents. His character experiences the most change and the most drama out of the three. He's the main freaking character, alright? As for the parents, portrayed by Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore, we see their marriage begin to steadily crumble. And the film does an excellent job in showing us both perspectives and challenges us to come up with our own conclusions. I personally felt like the mother was acting out of line when it comes to how she treated Conrad, but the film does a good job in helping the audience sympathize with her. At the end of the day, all three experienced a terrible loss, and it's not easy to dust yourself off and let go, even after a long time. Conrad starts the film at rock bottom, but with the help of his charismatic and unapologetic shrink, Dr. Berger, and his crush, Janine, he is able to drag himself out of the darkness. His mother, however, doesn't allow herself to receive help, and by the end, she's left isolated and alone. The film ends on a bittersweet note that allows you to reflect on the experience you've just had. And after plenty of reflection, I can safely say that I'm really glad I watched Ordinary People. With confident and tactful direction by debutant Robert Redford, great performances by all the cast, and a very emotional story at its core, Ordinary People is a timeless drama that everyone should see at least once. Ordinary People was great. It doesn't really have too many things wrong with it, but it's not a film that scratches my personal itch. It's a rewarding experience and I highly recommend it, but it doesn't come close to some of the other Best Picture winners I've seen. Hence, it receives a solid top half placement on the list. The 80s have well and truly started rolling. Up next is the 54th Best Picture winner, a film that is more recognizable for its main musical theme rather than the film itself, the historical sports drama Chariots of Fire. Check back again for the next video of DB Reviews Oscar Madness Marathon and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss a thing. Thank you all very much and let the journey continue.